Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to Work Guitars. Thanks for tuning in. Before we get started, I just would like to say a couple things about the weird stuff going on in the world today. And I'm going to say this one time, and then I'm just going to leave it alone because, I'm not a preacher or a psychology professor by any stretch of the imagination. But it seems like we ought to be able to get along with each other better than we do. I know there's a lot of differences, and man, we got to work on this. The world fighting against each other. I don't see any good end to that whole thing. One side is not going to be victorious. It's just going to be a big mess when it's all over. So that's all I got to say about that. But anyway, welcome back to the shop, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hitting the like button, and thanks for subscribing. All right. Today, we're working on this beautiful single cutaway for Rakes. Rakes is a local guitar hero here in Hampton Roads. His thing is this Roman numeral. I've made one for him before. He had the Roman numeral fretboard. We went back to that again. We have gold hardware on this guitar. We got gold fret wire, which is pretty groovy. Mahogany back, neck, quilted maple cap, and head plate. Next step in this process, I've been over it, I've sanded it, I've checked it, I've sanded it. I've probably still missed a scratch or two, but I'd like to think I got them all. Need to grain fill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of this grain filler that LMI makes, LMI Pore Filler. And they are about to go out of business. So let me make sure you can see this. If they have any left and you're into this type of thing, you may want to go ahead and buy some. I'm about to buy every bit I can get because I really like it. The reason I like it is it goes on smoothly. It doesn't dry super fast, but it gives you a little time to work it. And it seems to work very well as a pore filler. I've tried a lot of different ones. I've tried Z-Epoxy. Z-Epoxy works, but it works better on flat surfaces like acoustic guitars with big, broad, flat sides and backs. With all the roundovers and contours on an electric guitar and the neck, it's really a pain to use because it's so hard to sand. It's difficult to sand, and sanding is not fun to do. I don't think there's anybody in the world that would say they enjoy sanding. You might like it for a little while, but if you do it day in and day out, you're looking for ways to cut past the sanding. So this is the stuff. And what I do is just take one of these. You get them at auto parts stores, like for spreading Bondo. These, I don't even know what you call them. Bondo spreader, I guess. And I just put it on here going at a diagonal with the grain. I just do a spot and work it in. And it goes on very smoothly. And I try to cover this whole area. I need to put some gloves on because it is a little messy. Because the best way to do the round over is basically just to rub it with your finger, but this sometimes works. Come around the round over like that. But then you want to try to get the excess off. You don't want to leave a lot on there because that's more you have to sand. But it does go down in the grain very well. And I don't know if you can see that in there good enough. Let me see if I can see it. You can't really see it that well, but it's getting down in the grain. I'll get you over closer where you can see it better. It's difficult to film these things. I like to cover a pretty large section of it before it starts to get hard. It's still nice and smooth and pliable. I don't know what this stuff is made out of. Microspores or something. Then I like to come back with a razor blade that I go back and forth on this diamond plate like this. And then round the corners over so it doesn't dig in. And this makes a great scraper where you can come back and just pull that excess right off the top. Now the best thing to do is to let it dry a little while before you scrape it, because you don't want to just pull it right back out of the grain. But this works really well, and it scrapes very nicely, nice and flat down to the wood. A little section like that. And that gets the excess off. Let me get you over closer where you can see what's going on. Hard to see from over there. You see that filler down in the grain? The little specks. Mahogany is open pore wood. You need to fill that to get a good flat finish. That's what we're working on right now. We'll just do a little bit of this. I just wanted to show you guys how I did it. I had someone ask me, and I thought it would be a good way. I have used Aqua Coat. I'm going to have to say that I really didn't like Aqua Coat that much. It took multiple applications, as in multiple applications. Not 2, not 3, 4. It didn't feel very well. And if you're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, you know, that's the definition of crazy, right? This stuff here really works well. I'm not worried about that color change because we're going to sand it and it's just going to blend right in. You can seal it first if you want to. I don't do that anymore either. I used to. I'm going to spray the color on this back, so I'm not worried about trying to rub stain on here. I'm just going to mix the color in with the lacquer. A lot easier to do. Going diagonally with the grain, rubbing it down in. I'll put on a glove and just come back with my finger and hit these edges. That's the easiest way to do that. Gloves. Then I'll hit the edges, just rubbing it in. It's a little messy. All right, close that back up. Oh, another thing is if it dries out, you just add a little water and it comes right back to life. This is good stuff, man. I hope it's going to be available somewhere else once they close. I'm not sure who makes it for them. Somebody does, though. I doubt if they have a factory making it themselves. Okay, to hit those roundovers, I just take some and rub it around like that. The edges and the corners are the hard parts. All right, you can see that. So those roundovers right there, just smear it in like that. And try to knock the majority of it off. This part you got to pay attention to as well. I'm not worried about getting it on the maple because I'm going to sand that right back off. Sometimes it's just easier to use your finger. Come back with the scraper. Start over here. Just gently scrape the surface off. And this will start getting some of that excess off there. I don't leave much on there anyway. Okay, so that's how fast that gets done. That didn't take long to do. Got a little crazy there. It dried pretty quick. We got the edges, the round over. A little bit here. Like I say, that'll sand right off with some 400 grit. I'm not going to sweat it. Now I can let this dry for about an hour and I can come back and sand it. Hit this with a DA. Sand all that back off, you know, orbital sander. The neck you pretty much got to do by hand because it's all round, obviously. And I will tape off the neck before I start doing that because I don't want to get a lot of extra around all the frets and everything because I can't just sand it, you know. So anyway, that's it, man. Quick pore fill thing for LMI's Pore Filler. Very sorry to see LMI closing, but all good things must come to an end, as they say. So anyway, that's it. Quick video today, guys. Mahogany, you got to fill those pores. Good luck on your builds if you're building one. Good luck on anything else you're doing, all right? We'll see you out there somewhere. Be good to each other out there. Peace. Work guitars. Bye now.